We must find time to save the human race. Love, unity, and empathy has no place among the human race in this transition. When we live in love and harmony and show respect with unity, only love can set us free to fight injustice wherever it be. Just said the hungry must be fed, but man can't live by only bread. We have the future in our hands. Let's take the trot to the promised land. Jamaica, Ethiopia, America, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling. From the middle of the graveyard to the center of the sea, our ancestors, are you and me? We are the great ones. From the beginning of time, we have the heart, the soul, the body, and the mind. Calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling. United we stand, divided we fall. All for one and one for all. Some never know themselves until them back against the wall. Jamaica, Haiti, Nyankopong a call, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Praises to the great ones. Praises of our nation. Yeah. Oh yes, I say.
No, I think already we bless up and move forward. I do want to say grand rising to each and everyone that's here with us right now. Our brother Earl with us, brother Taylor, and of course the man himself, brother Nigel. Grand rising.
Grand rising.
Yeah, I know. So this morning, this earthquake, you're gonna shake up because 4.8.
Me hear about
You hear about it?
get a call. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on the live when something like that happened. I said, wow. This morning when I was going to work, it was quite evident that something was happening. I took a picture and it looked like a fireball. I was like, whoa, what a thing. All right, we're going to get wait on some of our brothers and sisters to join. Give me the feedback from first night. No, what's the feedback from last night? Any feedback
In regards to our Moorish brother or the
anyone?
in regards to the Moorish Empire, I have had interaction with the Moors before.
Yeah,
They were the first one to really approach me back in 2019, right when the mission started. But that was the first a Moor who had their identification and were on the journey, right? That's where I got the paperwork, because I have a whole heap of paperwork right here to be filed, and I didn't file from 2019. Right here. They gave me a whole package already. I have everything written up. I had already did an affidavit through the newspaper, and I got the result back, and it is right here since 2019. There are stuff I still don't understand, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's and it's a journey, and you never stop learning on the journey. So I welcome anything where I go forward and upward, because in a humanity we are fight for the same thing. I try to get the dome free, you know. Um,
Well, go ahead.
and in regards to immigration, I have to
Yeah.
contact my mom. We can discuss further because I see where she can be very instrumental in assisting her in the paperwork. Because not everybody going to follow or choose to come along with becoming a sovereign and taking control of their estate. You know.
Well, as far as the immigration consultant goes, I think we can never learn too much, and with the field that we're in, trust me, she's going to come in very handy when some of the build up to the documents that we have to be presented. Tonight I want to still continue on the trust, but um, you know, I'm open for question. As far as the Sheik, tomorrow I have a meet with him, the creator Spear Life. We're going to meet with him at his location because we want to not only acquaint ourselves with other um, brothers and sisters who are thinking like, oh, we're thinking, but we want to form an alliance where what they know and some of the process that they have tested before us, we can go and do it. So in both areas, I I want to say that we are just making acquaintances. We don't change our mind frame as far as how serious and determined we are when it comes on to getting the process done. And I want to say that it's not just we alone who are determined to make it through, but there's quite a few brothers and sisters who have different approaches that is doing it. Every day on the World Wide Web, I am being contacted. I am being, introduced to different people who have been on the said journey that we're on, but they're giving out some results, and that is what I really want to get done. And the process of getting result, sometime it is very, very deterrent because the result that we want is not a one-time fix. Before I go any further, everyone is aware of our brother, our high chief Jason. Is still incarcerated. I put out a tape, and I want to put it in the archives that we are concerned about him. And whatever I am doing from my office, it is something that I think encourages the liberation for all of us. It is a very tedious situation because High Priest Jason is in the jurisdiction of the French embassy. And as you know, the French embassy is governed in Guadeloupe by the French president. We have put it forward that this cannot stand because he's outside of their jurisdiction, but yet still they are penalizing him under their fraudulent um, approach. So, we just want to keep that in mind. I did also a recordings for him because when they incarcerate us as sovereign, we have to be there for one another. That is one of the strong bond that they're trying to break, that we don't care about each other. So when they do, their rubbish, we are just going to let it roll over. So as we said, our I chief Jason has been taken by the French government under the disguise of running the state called Guadeloupe. The place that I've been there before, and it's very touching. So this is a request that he has sent forward, and we kind of want to make it put on the record. This is not about class in the sense of subject, but it's about class in the sense of the position that we are all put in when we're standing up for our estate.
We go. Look at these people. What they're trying to do. Come. See that down there? All these down here. The man jammed them at my house. Right? This is my yard right here. You see that? All this. See it? You jab them right there. Why is that? Why is that? Why you gotta do something like that? Huh? No respect at all. They have no respect. None at all. So ever. Huh? Disrespectful. That's all they could do. Just take other people's stuff. And they call themselves big people. Yes. This is my home right here. I build this. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Look at that. See, he call himself chief. That side from the wall belongs to him. From the wall right here belongs to him. You understand? I give him all that. And he's still trying to make that. You want to come and see, put all the stuff, the water, all these things. Look at them. Yeah, I want you to see your face to see down here. See down there? See? In the facility of immigration, where they put me here to fight for what I am and who I am and what I do. So, here with other brothers, this facility, I've been here from since about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I'm still here representing higher government to make it known here in the front system. Because it seems like they don't have knowledge of it. I'm now reaching where is Guadeloupe. It seems like they have no respect. This is the place they really want to come to make it impossible to have our native rights. So as you know,
That is Jason in Guadeloupe. He reached there because his neighbor and him have a dispute. He showed his documents, but his documents was not notarized. Now we are going to learn from our mistakes because that's what we want to get in place. So I'm just trying to show that in the sense where you may have your documents, but there's work to be done with your documents. As for Jason, I think there's a language situation taking place there, and we're trying our best to notify them and let them know that he is outside outside of their jurisdiction. Anybody want to say something? Your mic is open.
That was my mic. Close
I
off.
look. Yes, sir. Welcome, brother James and brother Danny. We just was presenting something that was taking place with our brother over there, the French um, government that runs the corporation of Guadeloupe has, you know, kidnapped him and we're trying to get aware of the situation so we can be a part of it. I was hoping Nana, secretary, would join us. I was supposed to call her today, but didn't get to. Anybody speak with her for the day? Kareem?
I did for a short time.
Okay, Nana, if you're on the YouTube and you can come in, it would it would be worthwhile. All right, before I get into our presentation tonight, any question?
Yes, I got one.
All right, run it, run it.
Um, what form do I use to authorize my documents?
All right. What form do you use to authorize a document? I don't get that.
Um,
Notarizing.
to
Oh,
notarize it.
okay, okay. What we're trying to do now is I'm going to show something that you have your documents now. Mute your mic, and let me talk. You have your documents now. So what the next move is your jurisdiction. Now over here, the jurisdiction that you're under is the Corporation of the United States. But the United States is not bigger than which government over here? Anybody know? The post office.
Mm,
Yeah, the post office is where we do our notification through. So they are affidavits that I put inside the chat that you see, the affidavits of maturity. You need to get
okay.
that pull out and then carry it to the post office. I'm going to show you some tricks tonight about that. And then you are going to have that on record as a notice, right?
All right.
But we're going to get more deeper into it where the Secretary of State that is over the Corporation of the United States is the principal for your estate in the United States of America.
Okay.
So that in a sense is going to be in a notice that we're going to send out. Also, we were telling our brothers and sisters about notification through medium. Medium being um, newspaper, uh, artificial intelligence as to the social media and so forth that you go on. We have to start notifying each other. Put up your notification as to who you are so you can use that as reference. But the principal people that have to be notified is inside the classroom. I can go over that at a later time in class. All right. We have a presentation that I'm going to put forward, and it's about the post office and the importance of it. All right. So without any further ado, let me get this going.
Use of the zip is voluntary. You should also know the zip code scam use of the zip is voluntary. You should also know that the Postal Service cannot discriminate against the non-use of the zip code. The federal government utilizes the zip code to prove that you reside in a federal district of the District of Columbia. This is why the IRS and other government agencies require a zip code when they assert jurisdiction by sending you a letter. They claim that this speeds the mail, but this is a sly and subtle trick. It is also prima facie evidence that you are a subject of Congress and a citizen of the District of Columbia who is a resident in one of the several states. The receipt of mail with a zip code is one of the requirements for the IRS to have jurisdiction to send you notices. The government cannot bill a citizen of Texas because he is not within the purview of the municipal laws of the District of Columbia. In fact, the Internal Revenue Service has adopted the zip code areas as internal revenue districts. See the Federal Register, Volume 51, Number 53, Wednesday, March 19, 1986. You must remember that the Postal Service is a private corporation, a quasi-government agency. It is no longer a full government agency. It is like the Federal Reserve System, the Internal Revenue Service, and the United States and the United States Marshal Service. They are all outside the restrictions of the federal constitution as private corporations. They are all powerful in their respective areas of responsibility to enforce collection for the federal debt. So, if you are using a zip code, you are in effect saying openly and notoriously that you do not live in the state of Texas, etc., but instead are a resident in the Texas area of the District of Columbia. There are some so-called patriot groups that I consider patriots for money. They advocate the use of Title 42 suits, send mail to you with a zip code, and ask you to do things that place you within the municipal jurisdiction of the District of Columbia. Remember, these individuals may be agents of the government or, even worse, are advocating a one-world government by the use of the social security number and the zip code. So you must be aware of the movement towards a one-world government through annihilation or elimination of state citizens by use of the so-called 14th Amendment and its related laws. It is this writer's opinion, both as a result of study and as a result of my actual experience, that a zip code address is presumed to create a federal jurisdiction, or the market venue, or revenue districts that override state boundaries, taking one who uses such modes of address outside of a state venue and its constitutional protections and into an international, commercial venue involving admiralty concerns of the United States, which is a commercial corporation domiciled in Washington, D.C. More specifically, looking at the map on page 11 of the National Zip Code Directory, EG, at a local post office, one will see that the first digit of a zip code defines an area that includes more than one state. The first sentence of the explanatory paragraph begins. A zip code is a numerical code that identifies areas within the United States and its territories for the purpose. Note the singular possessive pronoun, it's, not there, therefore the implication that it relates to the United States as a corporation domiciled in the District of Columbia, not in the sense of being the 50 states of the Union. The map shows all the states of the Union, but it also shows D.C., Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, making the explanatory statement literally correct. Properly construed, zip codes can only be applicable in federal territories and enclaves that may be located within the 50 states of the Union and to the United States and District of Columbia and its territories.
Okay. Now, the postal system operates for us as national, right? And a while ago, I was telling my brother to register his corporation with the sovereign government of the the United Postal Union. It is above all government because it has no boundary. But what the corporation has done is put numbers inside of the post office. You notice every time you're sending a letter, little say a while ago, you have to provide a zip code. Is that lawful or is it illegal? It's illegal because this is how they tie us back with the strawman again with a number, because your zip code give them your address, your residence. Now, there is a way that you can apply without going through their specified number that they give you. It is said that you can do the zeros, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, or you can do the 5 nines on it to get a PO box, because the PO box now is what you're going to collect, but it's not your residence. Because as a living man, they're going to send things to you, and you will have to be very mindful not to sign off on it or open it, because the minute you open anything that they send to you, you have gone into contract with them. So this is something that the post office, when you go there, you have to do registered mail, because the federal has gone into the post office and established itself as the post office, but it's not the post office. You have federal mail, and then you have the law mail, where the post office is a neutral player within all of the governments, because that's a union that was formed before the governments came together. Any question?
I've sent off my form, my 181 form, and
Yes.
I had placed my zip code in on that registered mail. So basically, jurisdiction of the corporation.
Now, when you use the registered mail, there are ways that you can come out of it because of how you sign it. I'm going to play back an excerpt that I had played already, because that is why I find this what I got today. It was with my class a couple weeks ago. We shared it, and this gentleman was telling you some of the secrets of the post office, the secrets within the post office, how we need to approach it. So hold on for a minute.
Is this universal Rascodites? Does it apply on my side of the
Yes,
water?
yes, yes. Your post office is a universal government. It is where you do your um, recordings. So anything that we are going to talk to the corporate, any one of the corporation about, we have the post office. Grand Rising, Sister Crystal.
Grand Rising, everybody.
Yeah.
Grand-
Glad.
grand-
Go ahead. Yes, glad to see that you survived the shake this morning and you're in class. I hope that it wasn't too. Did or was the whole thing? Were you feeling it, or you just hear about it?
I felt it and I saw it. Everything was shaking, but I was like in denial. I'm like, New York, earthquake. Like, and going back to Jamaica, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, the frequency. But I wasn't scared. I was just looking at everything shaking.
Yes, yes, it was. It was a wake up call. And yesterday we had 57 earthquakes in Taiwan.
I didn't know that. And we had the aftershock like 40 minutes ago in certain parts of New York. There was an aftershock. I
Yes,
didn't feel that one though. What person's called?
yeah, I don't think they're being honest to us. I think they are doing what they're doing. But I
Yep,
just
in
want,
preparations. Yep.
yeah, I think I just want us to be prepared for what they have up their sleeve. But Grand Rising and welcome. We're talking about the postal system tonight, where we're trying our best to explain the importance of the postal system as far as notifying all governments, because the corporation is under the post office, because there's a treaty within governments to work collectively, and the post office is the first government over it. I just played something explaining the importance of how the zip connect us to our estate, and then give the corporation some form of authority to make codes and status for us to follow. But this I've played already, but this is summarizing some of the illegitimate moves that the feds are doing when it comes on to our post office. Remember, we learn from all of these promotional materials, so that's why we use them as reference.
Postal industry revealed. Let's talk about it. All right, the postal industry. Now, before the BRICS nations asset backed digital currency, the post office is actually the only entity that I know of publicly that is actually solvent. That's right, it's backed by gold, which makes it a very, very unique type of industry. And the postal industry has been around since 1775. The Continental Congress created it, and before they started the Revolutionary War.
What is the post office backed by again, brothers and sisters?
Gold.
Gold.
Goal.
And when you're born into the world and they weigh you, what status do they weigh you under?
Gold.
Goal.
Gold.
Is there any government on planet Earth right now that is backed by gold?
Hell no.
Okay, then. So this is the top of the food chain when it comes on to our notification and standing in our square. Okay?
Around since 1775. The Continental Congress created it, and before they started the Revolutionary War. And the reason for that is the postal industry operates outside of countries' jurisdictions, even though each country does make some guidelines, codes for them. And the reason for that is because if war ever breaks out, there must be continuity of communication amongst all the nations. So the postal service is actually kind of like its own unique separate kind of entity that operates outside of governmental agencies. Benjamin Franklin was the first postmaster general. By definition, we all are postmaster generals because we sort, receive, and mail and deliver parcels and goods and postage. It's always important to look at the foundations of things. And back in the day, what they used to do in order to give documents value and make sure that fees were paid is they would put stamps on top of them. And a stamp is actually a form of currency, believe it or not. And what you can do as the postmaster general is you can actually put a postage stamp on a document and sign through it, and that cancels that stamp and gives that.
What did you say a while ago?
Sign your name through the stamp and it cancels what?
Were paid as they would put
Hold on,
stamps
hold
on.
on. Any documents that you are sending, there a stamp on it, and it's telling you how to sign your name on it.
A stamp is actually
All right, so I want to go through this with a fine tooth comb. I'm gonna place it inside of our classroom, but I think when we decipher things together, we learn best. All right, mute your phone for me. Is there a question? Is there a question? Okay, Danny is joining us back, so let's get back to it. But any document that we're sending, we can put the stamp on it, and that is going to give it value. Listen to the end as why it comes to it. Remember, the post office is insured by gold, the insurance that cover every single thing that go to the postal system is not a paper dollar. It is backed by gold. So by right, the post office is not supposed to be taking paper money promissory notes from us. But because we don't use our stamp, we're supposed to use the promissory note and buy the stamp and then use the stamp for its value. Because you will hear in the tape, all stamps have different value.
a form of currency, believe it or not. And what you can do as the postmaster general is they would put stamps on top of them. And a stamp is actually a form of currency, believe it or not. And what you can do as the postmaster general is you can actually put a postage stamp on a document and sign through it, and that cancels that stamp and gives that document value. If you really want to step up your game on giving a document value, you can do things like this. This right here encompasses all three of the major jurisdictions. You have the pre 1933 silver, which is the Republican form common law of government. Then you have the federal registered warrant claim number, which is a silver certificate, which is equitable. And then you have the international commercial interest, which is a red fox stamp. The red fox stamp is a very unique stamp, if not the only one, that the dollar sign actually has the double.
I presume most of us are Jamaican, right? All of us here are Jamaican, presumably. You have ever seen this stamp before? Yes. These stamps are all over globally. Every single government has to recognize this stamp. And he's telling you that this stamp is one of the most expensive stamp out there, because when you sign your name through it with a seal and a thumbprint, it become valuable. All right. Wanted to just put that in because we're gonna go over it.
Bar on the S. Here's a couple secrets. So a PO box is a non-contracting venue, which basically means that if somebody tries to put you into a contractual obligation and they're using a PO box, it is not good for legal purposes for certain instruments. So you don't want to use a PO box to try to contract with. There's also something called the mailbox rule, which basically means that if you have a bill that is due on a certain date, let's say it's due on the 12th, and you put it inside of a mailbox before midnight on the 12th, it is considered received. So if you ever get fined or feed for lateness, if you put a check in the mail the day that it is due, it is considered received by the recipient, even though it was on that date, and they have to remove the fine or fee from that liability. Another trick is if you ever get spam mail and it has a return envelope, anything over like an ounce, they have to actually pay postage for. So what you can do is put all kinds of weights in it and send it back, and they have to pay a lot of money for how heavy that item is, and they'll stop sending you spam mail. Another trick is you can send mail anywhere in America for 3 cents. If you start operating in the Republic, and how you can do this is by putting general delivery non-domestic without the United States, and you put the chapter of the congressional record where they're bound by it, and it will get through. You basically be operating in the Republic. And when dealing in the Republic, if you're doing certified mail, that is the green card return receipt that you want to use. You don't ever want to do registered. Registered is federal, and that's more of a public benefit. Do this is by putting general delivery non-domestic without the United States, and you put the chapter of the congressional record where they're bound by it, and it will get by putting general delivery non-domestic without the United States. And the trick is you can send mail anywhere in America for 3 cents. If you start operating in the Republic, and how you can do this is by putting general delivery non-domestic without the United States, and you put the chapter of the congressional record where they're bound by it, and it will get through. You basically be operating in the Republic. And when dealing in the Republic, if you're doing certified mail, that is the green card return receipt that you want to use. You don't ever want to do registered. Registered is federal, and that's more of a public benefit.
Wow. Yep. There's a lot of things when it comes on to the post office. I remember when I just before I link up through the NYAN-KO-PONG, the first thing I had to do was notify the post office in my jurisdiction that I was here. And as an indigenous man or woman who have the right as a man living and a woman living, these are things that I advise brothers and sisters to do, even though we may operate to say, well, hey, we're Nyankopong. But remember, our main thing is we are here to inform them so they know that we're here. If they don't know that we're here, it's going to be a default because they're going to be like, yeah, Nyankopong who? Now, the post office, as I said, is very much important. It's important for us to do our business. our estate through the post office is legal to the it's lawful, not legal, lawful, and so forth in your jurisdiction. That is one of the place that you send your affidavits through, get it stamped, as you hear him say. Do not get it with the red thing where that is for the federal government. The green one is what you want to say, hey, I'm paying for it, and I want you to put the stamp and everything on it, and that now can be used as a legitimate recording of who you are. So, say for instance, your age of maturity, you want to send it through to the post office with all of that what we just saw a while ago. You can do that. Now, I'm going to say that is like one branch of the government. So the post office is all good. We take care of that. The next one is the Secretary of State. So the Secretary of State is the one who works with the coroner's office. The coroner's office is the dead house. And if they have you down, if the coroner's office have you down as dead, that means that your estate is out there floating. If we do not advise the Secretary of State office, it will not go to the principal, so we can have that. And I think there's some other things that I'm learning when it comes on to the Secretary of State office and even our trust, because remember that this is our estate, and everything that they do is to charge our estate so they can access our funds. Everybody clear on that as far as the importance of the post office?
Yeah.
Everybody put the puzzle together as far as the goal, and you heard it for yourself, the goal, the post office, and your birth paper. You see the link right now. Yes, so when
Yep,
you're
yep.
when you're taking care of your estate, nobody can tell us that. Nah, man, you're going like you have money, you don't have the money. Yes, we do have vast amount of money. Now I was hoping, as I said, for Nana to come tomorrow. She will do her class, and she can point out some of the. She's gonna continue with what she was explaining to us. All right, I'm going to play something about the Secretary of State now, because the Secretary of State, if that is the individual that we have to notify because they have the right to our estate, we need to know about them. So I have just a small little thing. It's nothing big. These are going to be let me put them inside the class so we can look them over and study them. So we know some of the codes, Madam Secretary. I don't know all of the codes, but most of the material that we are researching, it it comes with code. It's just sometimes when they tell you to go to a certain form, you want to go there and find the right form. But these are information that tells us where to find the answers when it comes on to pulling out some of the forms, as I said before, that we need to do. So this is about the Secretary of State and what are some of the responsibility that office have to do as far as your estate goes.
So what does California's Secretary of State actually do? The answer, like a good secretary, a whole lot of stuff, including elections, which we'll get to in a second. The Secretary of State's office handles all the business filings for corporations and businesses. It certifies notary publics, those folks who put their official stamp on your documents. It manages a bunch of registries, like the Domestic Partners Registry. And did you know the Secretary of State's office is the one in charge of preserving valuable historical documents, maps, photographs, and the state constitution? But the Secretary of State's biggest responsibility is running state and federal elections. Think Think about it. It's not just about preparing ballots in 10 different languages, by the way. They manage the voter registration database. All the paperwork from candidates, plus their financial disclosure statements, which are then made available to the public. They put out voter guides, sample ballots, and mail-in ballots. And on election day, they have to be sure all the voting machines are secured, working properly. Then they do the official count and certify the final results. With about 20 million voters in California and elections every couple of years, it's no easy task. So when you vote for a Secretary of State, vote carefully, because you're trusting them with the essence of our democracy: free, open, and institution. But the Secretary maps, photographs, and the Secretary of State's office is the one in charge of preserving partners registry. And did you know the Secretary of State's office is the one in charge of preserving valuable historical?
I'm stopping it right there because it handles all businesses. Your LLC, your EIN number, all of these things goes right to where? The Secretary of State. Filing for corporations, the Secretary of State and Business. Certified notary publics, the Secretary of State. Manages registries, the Secretary of State. Preserve historical documents, the Secretary of State. Very, very interesting.
Documents, maps, photographs, and the state constitution. But the Secretary of State's biggest responsibility is running state and federal elections. Think about it. It's not just about preparing ballots in 10 different languages, by the way. They manage the voter registration database. All the paperwork from candidates, plus their financial disclosure statements, which are then made available to the public. They put out voter guides, sample ballots, and mail-in ballots. And on election day, they have to be sure all the voting machines are secured, working properly. Then they do the official count and certify the final results. With about 20 million voters in California and elections every couple of years, it's no easy task. So when you vote for a Secretary of State, vote carefully, because you're trusting them with the essence of our democracy: free, open, and fair elections.
All right. Would you say that the Secretary of State is the principal?
Yes.
That's a lot of rights that that office carries. So, your corporation, a letter after Davis informing, notifying the Secretary of State, say, hey, I'm inside. And each state have a different Secretary of State. But there's a Chief Secretary of State. Anybody know the Chief Secretary of State? Those who live in the United States, anybody have any inclination who that is? Wow. Wow.
No, no idea. I know saw something
Lieutenant
that was.
Governor,
Oh,
Them trade
the
them so regular.
Lieutenant Governor.
nope,
Oh,
nope. The other day, when the United States was assisting Israel, who you saw on the ground? Nobody? Nobody can
Me never
remember?
see nobody. I never watch them.
Well, this is the brother who have our estates in his hand. And he look like a nobody, but he is somebody. That is the Secretary of State. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken. He was sworn in as the 71st United States Secretary of State by acting under Secretary of State. Acting under Secretary of State for Management. So, this is the person who you have to write to as the chief principal. The chief principal whose office is responsible for the documents that we're sending out. So make a note, He is the chief, but if you're living inside of a state like New York, there's a Secretary of State for New York differently. All the states carry different secretaries, but the chief one for the entire United States is this man here. Now, I want to ask a question. While you were watching the first tape, did you hear about what the narrator say about your zip number, where it actually come from? Anybody was taking note? Where do you get your zip code from? You think you get it from the United States government as jurisdiction when it comes on to you live in New Jersey and it happened for you? You think that's where your zip code comes from? Your zip code comes from the offshore corporation that is registered in the place called Puerto Rico. Yeah, Puerto Rico is a wealthy place because that is where birth paper numbers are stored. That is a big registry for this corporation here. So just want you to know that this is where we are sending the principal notification. So notice the principal is notice the print
Notice
note
the
Notice the
agent.
agent.
notice the principal is now to put notice to
Notice the agent.
yes. So in that sense, it means that when Officer Nibbles come across and step out a line and you get his badge number and you get his estate name, you deal with the Secretary of State that this individual have infringed on my rights, and you take them to common law court to put a lien on them. Alienable or unalienable, this is a lien on them. So the individual, because what did we just realize, just speak about? The responsibility of the Secretary of State. It is, we can see your company, but if your company creates any damage at all because of your birth paper, they can charge your estate. So the Secretary of State has that authority because of the birth paper to charge your estate. And if you do anything to anyone, there's enough funds there out of what we just shown you a while ago as to your rating goal to compensate the injured party, right? But what the corporation does is it operates not lawfully but legally. And on the legal status and codes, they can make up crimes against you illegally to say you commit a crime. How can you commit a crime for driving and for traveling and going at the speed that you want to go if you're not hurting anyone? But when they put up a 40 miles per hour zone and you go through it, they say, wow, got you. Because the status and code say you can go 40 miles per hour. It's not a law, it's a status. Status where they say, hey, I believe that this person should drive at this miles per hour. And that is why a lot of people are going inside their judicial system and pointing out some of the flaws that they use the corporation. And as Secretary of State, as you hear what Secretary of State the responsibilities are, it is very clear that they have to be just. If they're not just, then it can be a bit of problem. All right. So I'm in the room. Give me a minute. So I'll give it to you. I'm using it. That's a minute. That's all. That's my little bad boy son come in the room. Let me know say his time is coming. But that was what I was trying to put across as far as our um, rights goes when it comes on to some of the activities that they do within the Secretary of State and the postal system. Everything is connected. Any question? Grand Rising, Abina?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
Which one of the affidavits are we sending to the Secretary of State?
The second, all right, because of the responsibility that they do, this will be informing them a notification as to who you are, your identity, and your jurisdiction out operating even in commercial codes. Because
So that will be so that will be an affidavit of ownership then.
yes, yes, we can clarify that with Nana when she comes through tomorrow. But that would fall under that scope where you're owning yourself. So it's a responsibility where nobody has to be watching over you as if you are a minor. Are you a minor, sir? I should think not. You're not
None
a
of us is, but
none
we're
of us.
still considered great loss of sea and a child at the same time. And you know all of them didn't work.
Okay, okay. Well, we're here to break some of the things that they have out there. Anybody inside my classroom here study quantum grammar? Anybody does that? Anybody know what quantum grammar is?
I never got a chance to start. I got interested, but I never got a chance to start.
Don't want to go too fast, but I have to do this tonight. This is legalese language, quantum grammar. It means that some words that we use, it has a meaning. Mr., Mrs., you know, these are words that has vibration in them, but has meaning in them. That's why if a judge is in a courtroom and he's trying your case and he asks for a recess, a reset, because it's not a recess, it's a reset in the quantum language. What is a word that you can use to bound him? A quantum word. Anybody knows that? If a if a judge is walking away from his bench and said, I want to recess right now. I'm not into this. I'm asking for a recess. What do you what did you go to what did you make that special appearance for? They brought a charge
to
against
bring remedy and to settle the matter.
and and with the judge walking out of the courtroom, is that settled?
No.
No. So in the quantum language, you came to the courthouse to have the matter squashed and settled. So you want the case to be adjourned. That's not a word that we use frequently, but when you go in the courthouse, you'll hear the lawyers use these words all the time. I want this case to be adjourned because it's not going anywhere. It's a fancy word for dismiss. It's a fancy word for dismiss, but it carries. Remember when Kareem was telling us that he was studying a bit of Latin? Yes, because some of these words, when they use words to us, we have to go to the origin of the word to know how powerful it is. All right, but we're just gonna browse through this. I urge everyone. I am learning just like you. And when you get the inspiration and you hear something that ticks with what you're thinking, you need to go research it. You have it in your hand. Don't just on TikTok full light and all this, but when you hear something, go research it. Quantum language, quantum grammar. This is a small excerpt. We're going to go over it more, but I think it is very important when it comes down to how we communicate lawfully and legally. Quantum grammar.
And this time I want to talk about something that everyone who is involved in the quantum community has heard, but no one that I know, except for one person other than myself, has closure on. And that is the vowel in front of a consonant, meaning no. Hopefully I will help to answer that in this video. First of all, if you have access to the internet, you can find an etymology dictionary and a Latin dictionary, a Greek dictionary, Sanskrit dictionary, and you can look these things up yourself and you can parse the words. So what you would do is you would parse each syllable of the word to find out the earliest meaning of the word. That's a rule of thumb. That's an etymological rule of thumb that I use. I go to the earliest known meaning of the word, which usually means the Pi root, the Proto-Indo-European root, and I go by that. And if you do that, 9.9 times out of 10, you will find that those words that have a vowel in front of a consonant at the beginning of the word will mean no. And
Everybody get that a while ago? It's up on the board, said we. All of these words right here amount to no. And he's going to explain it. When he started to break it down, I was like, yo, because words come with numbers. And numbers tell a story. So it's maths and English that we need to really conquer when it comes on to speaking in certain language.
in other words, they literally mean no, they mean go backwards, or they mean away from, or they negate the now time in some way. That's easy to qualify for yourself. All it takes is time. A deeper closure and clarity that I'll share with you now is that if you were to syntax a word, each letter at a time, for example, if you wrote the word adverb and you wrote A space D space V space E space R space B, and you put spaces in between the letters, now each letter is going to be syntaxed separately.
Fully understand what this is? This, as he said, and as he go along, we'll find it out. The one for the A, space, this would be 2. The D, that would be 3. So with our words, we have to see these. This is a present place, you know. This is a present place. You just don't see it, but it's there. But you don't operate in that language. You're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words, 6 letters, but it's more than 6 letters. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are spaces, but he's going to show you.
It's not going to be syntaxed as a whole. An adverb standing by itself would be a pronoun. But when you take those letters and put spaces in there, now you have to syntax each letter individually. So when you look at the word, now all of a sudden, A becomes an adverb, B becomes an adjective, V becomes a pronoun, E becomes an adverb, R becomes an adjective, and B becomes a pronoun. So in these scenarios, vowels are syntaxed as non-tangible contract words, as non-fact-based terms. Why is that? Well, if you think about it, the sound of a vowel, ah, e, I, o, u, they're verbs because it's basically just thinking. It's motion. There's no concreteness to it. There's no solidity to it. But when you pronounce phonetically a consonant, there's a definite solidity to it, like T, B, V. And also the name consonant is very similar to constant. So you syntax vowels as verbs. Verbs are motion thinking. Consonants would be syntaxed as fact-based terms. Keeping that in mind, if you put the thinking in front of the fact, you have nothing to think about. You've put the motion before there's something to move. So it negates it because there's no direction. Because in correct sentence structure, you have to have two facts before you have the verb of the thinking. You have to have 2 points in which to draw a straight line so that you know the direction you're going. You have your cause, your consequence, and then you have your thinking. If you put the thinking before that, now the volition is in question. Now you don't know what direction the line's going. That's why it's a question. That's why the thinking comes before it, because you're not sure what's going on. Same thing. You're putting the motion before there's something to move.
Cause, concern, or consequence, positive authority. Words are powerful. We've been saying that. But the thought process of word in the right quantum is very powerful.
Now, if you put a consonant in front of that vowel, now you have something to move. Now you have a starting point. Now you have a fact-based thing to start from into the verb of the thinking into the rest of the word. Another question that people ask, well, then why are 2 vowels in front of a consonant positive performance? Again, I have never heard anyone give closure on that to me except for one person. And as far as I know, no one's ever explained it. So my closure on that is when you take another motion, another thinking, and you put it in front of that thinking, now you have 2 motions, 2 thinkings, 2 thoughts. We'll say thoughts. The very first thought now performs the function of the life force, which now you have something to move into the verb of the thinking, which is the next vowel, and then your consonant, and then whatever comes after that. So in the scenario of 2 vowels in front of a consonant, the first vowel functions as the source, the life force, the original thinking. The second vowel functions as the verb of the thinking into the rest of the word. You may ask, well, why is that? How did you come to that? Everything comes from the source. It comes down to your sensations. As a very good friend and brother of mine put it to me, to paraphrase, try thinking with a bullet in your head. What do you need to begin thinking? You need a life force. There needs to be life in order for there to be motion or movement or a verb of thinking. If there's no life there, there's no thinking. That's another reason why a vowel in front of a consonant means no, because there's nothing to think about. But once you put that life force there, and that's why those words with 2 vowels in front of the consonant are so special, because they begin with the function of the life source, the original thinking, moving into the verb of the thinking, and then into the rest of the word. And that's why 2 vowels in front of a consonant are positive performance. These are things that I teach in my workshop that, as far as I know, have never, ever been released to the public. And I'm sharing it with you now. I hope this has helped everyone out there. And I would like to end the video with a show of gratitude, honor, and love to ;David-Win; Miller, Foucault on Russell-J. Foucault on Gould, for all that I've learned from them and the part that they played in my life and being where I am now. Last but not least, I would like to give a very, very, very special thanks to a friend, a brother, and a mentor who's gifted me with so many closures and clarities on these matters. And his name is Foucault on Raven Farhad Tohidi Foucault on Afarin. Much respect, brother. I know it's a lot to think about, and that's what it's for. It's to think about. Sit and think about it. If you have any questions about it, I teach this stuff in my workshops. It's not something that can be answered, at least for me at this point in my tutoring experience. It can't be answered casually in a comments section, in a comments field. It has to be done face to face, so to speak, in a video, confidential video setting. Thank
Wow. Lot of information, a lot of information right there. But the grasp of the story is without inspiration, thoughts can't occur. Inspiration is creativity. You thought about it before you act up on it. And that is what I'm learning through quantum. And then the words now, how we put our words, it can make things formulate much better. I would advise anyone to study quantum grammar. And if the class go long enough, some of these things that we're teaching, because language is very important. And if we can't speak the language, whether it be legalese, Spanish, French, or whatsoever communicative tools that we need to use as sovereign to communicate to get our thought process and things across, it will not serve us good. So I wanted to just put that in for tonight. Any question? Any homework that anybody is going to move up on?
in regards to the farm 181.
Yes.
I'm going back to that, but I think I might have to send another notice out with that in the correct form.
Okay. Okay. Remember the tape that we played yesterday where the young man was explaining that a lot of us are fearful of the corporation, but the corporation is very much um an entity that make blunders like every other corporation. So he was telling us that sometime when we fill out these forms and we make a blunder, we must be bold enough to go back and correct it through notification. And I concur with that. That is something that um, should be done. Okay. And
Notarize it.
you want a notary? You didn't get it notarized?
Yeah, I had to get something drafted on it for them to notarize it at the base of the farm. Print
That
on it
is
up and sign through it and send it off. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing again and get it sent off the correct way. This.
okay. I think that is so. The post office, as you see, what I did with the I think it's good thing you brought that up.
With the stamp.
Yes, and the thumbprint.
Okay.
That is one of the first thing to the post office that works for some of our brothers and sisters. Hold on. It was today I was looking at that demonstration that was put forward, and it was quite simple, and as you see in our first video, anytime that you are conducting business, I am getting to my stamps now. I know that Madam Secretary have ordered her stamps already. So I'm trying to get our stamps up to the par where we can start to use them. I want to explore the we call it. I want to explore the 3 cents across the board that is we can use. But I wanted to show you. Someone had sent it to me today, where we were talking about how to do the stamps and so forth. But maybe we can save that for Monday. I'll put what I have inside the classroom for today, so you can have it as reference. Any question? Tomorrow we have Nana Night. Madam Secretary, she is going to continue with the class that she was teaching. So hopefully you'll make it for that time. If that is all for today, we can adjourn until tomorrow for a better word. All is we shall have ye.
We shall have we
We shall be.
We shall be.
we shall have we
We shall be.
We shall
all
have.
here, all here. Maybe be stronger and stronger and stronger every day.
Calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling, Nyankopong, calling.